Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 4.2. Here's your objective. I will be able to multiply fractions by whole numbers. Okay. One key point to know and keep in mind here is that a whole number such as 3 is really 3 over 1. So like a whole number such as 7 is really 7 over 1 as a fraction. That'll be important today. Just to tell you why that's true is if you look down here, I have one whole square, and one whole square is 1 out of 1 piece. And I have another whole square, which is 1 out of 1 whole piece. And my third one is 1 out of 1. So if I add those fractions together, I get 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, and my denominator stays the same, which is 3 over 1. So here's our first example we're going to try. We have here 2 times 2 over 5, or 2/5, which when I rewrite that, is simply 2 over 1 times 2/5. When you're multiplying fractions, you multiply the numerators and the denominators. So 2 times 2 equals 4, and 1 times 5 equals 5. So the answer to 2 times 2/5 is simply 4/5. Okay? Now, I don't have to reduce here at all because it's already reduced to its simplest form. Let's take a look at a few more examples. And down here I wrote a quick note to us. Always reduce your fraction if you have to. The last time we didn't have to, but this time we will. So my first example is 6 times 2/3. Well, we already know that 6 is really 6 over 1. So as I rewrite this question, I have 6 over 1 times 2/3. Well, 6 times 2 is, you guessed it, 12. And 1 times 3 is 3. So now I'm left with 12 over 3, or 12/3. Well, I have to reduce that fraction. So they both have a common multiple of 3. 3 is the greatest common factor of 3. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4, and 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So 12 over 3 can be reduced to 4 over 1, which is simply just 4 is our answer. Let's take a look at the next example. I have 9 times 1/3. Well, rewriting this as 9 over 1 times 1/3. And 9 times 1 is simply 9. And 1 times 3 equals 3. So what would I do now? I need to reduce again because I have the greatest common factor of 3. 3 divided by 3 equals 1. And 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So my answer is 3 over 1, which we know is simply 3. Okay? And one last example from this page. We have 4 times 1/8, so if I'm going to rewrite that, it would be 4 over 1 times 1/8. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 8 is 8. So I'm left with 4/8. And I could see that already 4/8 is 1/2. But my greatest common factor is 4. 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And 8 divided by 4 equals 2. I've reduced my fraction as far as it can go. And my answer is 1/2. Pretty simple stuff so far. It's going to get a little more complicated. All right, before we move on, I want to give you a quick note here. To rename an improper fraction as a mixed number, you need to divide the numerator by the denominator. Write the remainder as a fraction. That might sound confusing for you right now, so let's just do it. Right here I have 3/5 times 4, which we know to be 3/5 times 4 over 1. Okay, what is 3 times 4? Well, 12. And 5 times 1 equals 5. So now I have an improper fraction, and I need to fix that. So what can I do? Well, they don't have common factors anymore. All right, so what I need to do with my 12/5 is see how many times 5 can go into 12. Let's count. 5, 10, 15 is too far, so it can only go in twice. All right? But there's 2 left over, so I have a remainder of 2. And those are 2/5. So 12 over 5 is really 2 and 2/5. Let me show you with a visual what I mean there. If you look down at the bottom of my screen, we ended up with 12 over 5, 12/5. So as you can see in my picture down here, I have 5/5, another 5/5, and then 2/5, which equals 12/5 total. I have 12/5 total. And how many holes does that give me? There's 1 hole, 2, and I'm left with 2 out of 5. So that's why my answer was 2 and 2/5. If you're still not seeing it, I'll give you a couple more examples on the next few pages. All right, right here we have 1/4 times 5. Let's start with that one. 1/4 times 5, which is just 5 over 1. And what's 1 times 5? Well, 5. And 1 times 4 equals 4. So I'm left with an improper fraction again, 5 out of 4, and they don't have any common factors. So what I need to do is see how many times my denominator can go into my numerator. And so let's divide that. 5 divided by 4 equals 1. And 1 times 4 equals 4. I subtract that and I have a remainder of 1. So I have 1/4 left. So my answer to this question would be 1 and 1/4. If you're still confused, let's try another one. Right here I have 3/4 times 5. I rewrite my question as 3/4 times 5 over 1. And 5 times 3 equals 15. And 4 times 1 equals 4. Now I need to see how many times that denominator can go into my numerator. So 4, 8, 12. 16 is too far. Let's count again. 4, 8, 12. So it goes in 3 times. Now, there's still going to be 13, 14, 15. 3 pieces left over. So I still have 3/4 left. So my answer is 3 3/4. Right here. If you're confused on this concept, we'll go over in class tomorrow. But just know, you divide the numerator into the denominator. And how many times it goes will be your whole number. And then whatever's left will be our fraction, and it goes over the denominator. All right, so I've given you some problems to try. I would like you to take out a notebook or a piece of paper for now and try these 4 problems. 10 times 4/5. You have to remember that this is a whole number. To turn it into a fraction, you just put it over 1. Same thing goes with number 2. It would be 2 over 1 times 3/4. Those first 2 shouldn't be too bad, but then you might run into some trouble with numbers 3 and 4 when you have an improper fraction. So go ahead, give those a try. Bring them to class tomorrow. We'll look over them. And if you're still confused, I'll help you at the back table. You guys have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.